Underdog Fantasy is the fastest growing fantasy app and easiest place to play fantasy sports. Just jump on UnderdogFantasy.com or download the app, draft your team, and that's it. And if drafts aren't your thing, they also have a pick'em game where you can win 20 times your money in a single night. Use promo code RADIO, and Underdog will double your first deposit when you sign up with up to $100 in bonus cash. Deposit $100, get $100 free. That's promo code RADIO. Terms and conditions apply.
Says it's in progress.
Recording is now in progress. We're good. We are good. We are good to go. I've lost my mind today. It is what it is. It's been a long week, but welcome to another episode of the Fantasy Football Happy Hour podcast. I am your lovey-dovey, super handsome host, Richard Valero. On today's episode, we are going to take a look at the first initial numbers of the over and under across the NFL. We're going to give you some picks that we like across the board. I'm joined by Matthew Fox, who did it the old-fashioned real way or new-fashioned way of selecting the things like he did last week. I went through and just went, no, yes, no, yes, no, yes. So welcome to the show, Mr. Fox. How are you, buddy?
I have to tell you, I literally a few minutes ago finished playing out the schedule on the schedule simulation site that I love, and I'm not proud of myself.
I just want to throw it out here. This is probably like the fourth or fifth time that you've brought it up on the show. I think they need to begin to sponsor this show is what I'm beginning to think that needs to happen.
I love it so much. Playoff Predictor. If you Google for that, you should be able to find it. Playoff Predictors. They basically have the entire schedule, and you can just go week by week and pick who you think is going to win the matchup. And I never look at what the records are compiling. I'm just picking week by week. And then at the end, I go see what I did. And it's fascinating because it's the real schedule. I think that's the trap I used to fall into is, you have this idea in your head of how good you think a team is, but some of the records you're predicting for these teams aren't actually probably possible with the actual schedule they play.
Yeah, it's interesting to me because I think one of the things that I'm fascinated with the most is what I'm doing here is this. So going into today, I went into it blind. I haven't gone game by game by game by game or anything like that yet. But what I have done is I'm looking at these initial numbers and my initial gut feeling about some of these schedules. I did look over some of the games and there's some of their schedules and try to figure out. But what I did was, and we're going to do this quick, guys. We're not going to bore you to death with going in depth for all 32 teams. But what my goal is moving into the future, I have a spreadsheet that I might release to the public. Who knows? That on basically what I did was I had the team, what their over under is as of 520, my picks as of 520, and see how they kind of fluctuate throughout the offseason. And see, because some of these teams' numbers might move or go down depending on trades, depending on post-June 1st cuts, depending on additions. So there's still a lot of time to kind of dive through this. But if you are a person in the betting world, obviously it's never too early to get in on an over-under bet. So we're going to take a quick look at some of these. Fox, what I'm going to do is I'm going to announce the team, and you just tell me over or under. And I'm going to let you guys know. So what I did was I did over, under, and not applicable, which means just right now I'm not taking a look. Fox is just going to give you his over, under, and all of them. I'm going to give you the ones on the betting side of things where I think if you should put any money on these yet or not. So,
and wait, the caveat we should add, these initial over unders would be impossible for teams to all hit these numbers. I was looking at, they don't have any like bad teams in here. The lowest over under is 4.5. In the AFC alone, I think they had 8 teams at 9 or better wins.
Oh yeah, it's definitely that because there is a lot of good teams in the AFC, and it wouldn't surprise me. Some of them did surprise me, but I'm going to go alphabetical order, Fox, because that's just what I'm going to run with. Arizona is currently sitting at 9. Where do you have them sitting right now?
So my first pass was 8 and 9. 9 feels almost like a push. If I had to go one side or the other, I'd probably take the under. I'm not sure they got better.
I am currently looking at not applicable. I am not betting this because I agree with you. I think they're on the line of 8 to 9. They could potentially overachieve if they want to, but I'm not 9 is just too scary. If we were at like 7.5, I'd probably go over easily on that. maybe 8, but 9 is just too scary for a team that I don't think is consistent enough. And DeAndre Hopkins missing 6 games is going to be massive. I don't care what anybody says. Atlanta 5.5. What do you got?
I'm going to take the under. I don't think Atlanta's trying to win.
Yeah, 5.5 was interesting for me. I don't believe they're trying to win. I also am a believer that Mariota is going to win them some games they probably shouldn't win. So I am also on the verge of saying not applicable because I don't love this bet at all. If we were at 6.5, I would definitely take the under because I think this team is like a 4 or 5 win potentially team. But if you're looking at a team and you can see 5 wins, obviously that can, in my opinion, that goes one or two ways, both sides, right? That means they could probably, in my opinion, that could go down to 3 or that could go up to 7. So I think this team at 5.5 is just not sexy enough for me to bet on. I don't like it at all. Baltimore 9.5.
I'm going to take the over.
Yep.
I think they return to form.
Yeah, I'm on the over 100%. I'm smashing this right now. I don't see how this number doesn't possibly go up to 10.5. There's too much uncertainty with some of the other teams in this division for me not to buy Baltimore, who was the best team in football prior to the whole entire Lamar Jackson thing. So I love the over 9.5. I think they might be one of the best teams in the AFC this year. And they drafted incredibly well again, like they do every year. Buffalo 11.5.
I'm going to take the over. I think they still win the East or one of the top seeds.
So I'm not applicable right now. 11.5 is a lot in a division. I mean, in a league where I think there's a lot of things. They do stumble out the gate a little bit hard. So that's why I was a little bit conscious about taking them because they have the Rams, Titans, Dolphins, Baltimore, 3 of the 4 games on the road. And of course, Pittsburgh and then at Kansas City. Those first 6 games are not very easy. So their latter half of the schedule is actually really good. But 11.5 is kind of scary. I wouldn't doubt you, or I would not bet it, but I'm looking at 12 wins again. So I look at that as
I actually had 12 too, but
so it's scary to me on being on either line. But if there's one team that I'm confident that can win 12 games this year, I think it's Buffalo. And the other ones, obviously, in my opinion, the Rams, and we'll talk about them in a little bit. But I think there's the only 2 teams in football that I really feel confident that could both end up being the 1 seed at the end of the year. And it wouldn't shock me if they do. Carolina's sitting at 6. What do you got there?
I'm going to take the under. I think they're trying to win, but they suck.
This is another non-applicable for me. They do have a hard schedule, a little bit softer down the stretch, I think, whenever I look at it. But I don't feel confident in this team at all. Like I don't. I do think that what's weird about them is I do think they could be slightly rejuvenized if Corral comes in about halfway through the season. And maybe they win 1 or 2 games because of him. You know what I mean? Like I could see that happening, but that's 6 line. That's just it's a bet. Like it's like a bait. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, we think they're gonna win 6 games. No, man, I don't think they're going to. But I see them at a 4 and 5 win team again. If they're within 2, it kind of scares me. So moving on to a team that I do think it's going to be terrible this year, and that's the Chicago Bears. 6.5 wins. What do you got?
I'm going to take the under. I love Justin Fields, but holy cow.
I'm looking at their schedule, and I'm going to run it down real quick for you guys. So they start the season, San Francisco and Green Bay. I think they start the season 0-2 right there. Okay. Now over the next couple of weeks, it does get a little bit, it gets a little bit softer in some aspects, but Houston, I don't know if they're better than Houston. I'm sorry. I like Houston. I know you do too. I like Houston a little bit more than the genre, the general public does. But at the New York Giants, the Giants suck, but that's not an easy game. At Minnesota, obviously they play Minnesota twice a year, but like looking at the middle of the schedule, they got New England on the schedule. They've got at Dallas on the schedule. They've got, they got the Green Bay twice. They got Philly, Buffalo. I don't see how they win 6.5 games this year. I think maybe they're a 4-win team. And that to me is probably being slightly generous. I don't know. They might be one of the worst teams in football, if we're being honest. They really might be. Cincinnati 9.5. I'm intrigued by this one.
I'm taking the slight over. I had them landing at 10 wins. And, I know they went to the Super Bowl last year. They were 10-7. And I think their division maybe got harder, got better. The AFC in general got harder, got better. Them finishing 10-7 wouldn't be a knock. That's where they were last year.
Yes, one of the things that I find fascinating about this team is I don't think they're going to be in the playoffs this year. I said that I think that they had their moment, and I think that Joe Burrow, in my opinion, I love Joe Burrow. You can go back to when this show was called The Daily Delight. I was on the Joe Burrow bandwagon before it was cool. I just don't ever see I don't ever see the Bengals making it back to the Super Bowl. I really don't. They might win a playoff game here and there. I just don't think that I think this is going to be Cam Newton style rise, and then just kind of a neutral. Joe Burrow probably have a better career than Cam Newton overall, but I just feel like that was their peak, right? That's his peak. And I just think that everything kind of fell in place for them towards the finish line to really kind of get them into that Super Bowl. And now, I mean, if we're going to be honest, guys, if Odell Beckham Jr. does not get hurt, that game is lopsided in the Super Bowl. I'm sorry. I think it was. I think that they probably lose that game a lot bigger than they would have. But I'm on the under here. I think Cincinnati is a 7-8 win team. I'm soft on the under. Okay, I'm not saying I'm going to bet it through the roof, because I always also say about that 2 to 3 win total. I do think I saw somewhere where they have like a top 10 hard schedule, and down the stretch, folks. Cincinnati plays the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 games at Pittsburgh, at Tennessee, Kansas City, Cleveland, Tampa, New England, Buffalo, Baltimore. That stretch, hardest stretch in football. Period. That's where they easily don't make the playoffs on that stretch alone. You know what I'm saying? That's what happens whenever you win the division and become one of the better teams of football. You face harder schedules. You know what I mean? That's just what it is. You know what I mean? That's just football. Next up on the horizon is Cleveland, which I am staying so far away from because I don't know what the hell's going on with that team yet. So,
what was their number? I forgot.
9.5.
Right now, I have the slight over at 10-7, but Cleveland's probably the hardest team to handicap right now. Really need to see what happens with this Watson interviews.
I am starting to believe that Watson's going to be suspended for a full year. I really feel like that's coming. I really do. I think that his contract, the Browns laid out their contract the way they did, I think with the understanding with the potential of him being suspended for an entire season. I think that's going to, even if it gets reduced at some point, possibly, even if he misses half of a season, I still think Baker's got to go, because you can't put Baker on that football field and let him win any football games with this team, because you have a $300 million quarterback in the background. You know what I mean? It's just going to get ugly. So I am not betting this. I'm staying super clear away from it. If I knew Watson was playing 17, I'd probably take the over on this, but I don't know that. So Dallas Cowboys at 10.5.
I'm going to take the over.
Woo!
I can't quit you, Dallas.
I have the under.
I mean, 11, 12 wins doesn't seem like that far-fetched, if we're being honest. I know you don't like them, but
I like Dallas. I just don't think that I think they got worse this offseason. And the only thing going for them is I think they do have I think they have one of the easiest schedules in the NFL this year. So I'm under, but wouldn't be surprised if I don't bet this at all right now. And moving on to the next team is the Denver Broncos, which sits at 10, which is the ugliest number of any football team on this list. 10. That's a I dare you to bet me kind of number. I don't like this number, and I don't like Green Bay's number. I don't like anything that doesn't have a half for some reason. I know that's weird, but I just like the half.
No,
10's a lot though.
That makes sense. I'm taking the slight over. I think 3 teams in the AFC West end up making the playoffs, and none of them ends up better than 11 wins.
I'm taking the under here. I think the Broncos do make the playoffs. I do think they do, but I think they're going to be an 8 or 9 win team. I think we're going to see a influx of just everybody beating on each other in the AFC. I really do. But honestly, I probably wouldn't bet this. I don't like that number 10. Number 10, it's just, I don't know. It's just weird. It stands out to me. Like, it's just weird. 10. I don't know. Just where's my half at? I don't know. I'm freaked out right now looking at this. I just need to move on. Detroit 6, which is another straight number, another one I'm not betting.
I'm actually going to take the over, because I think the Lions are better than people realize, and they actually have a pretty soft schedule.
Mm-hmm. I think it's the NFC East and then the NFC North, I think, are the two divisions that have the easiest schedules in football this year, if I remember
Well,
correctly.
and that's why the Lions to me actually could be one of those teams that's the surprise, like last playoff team, because I feel like they're in the 7 to 10 win range, depending on luck and probability. They have quite a few nice weapons, and people forget Jared Goff was in the playoffs almost every year with Sean McVay. If you give him a decent team, he's fine.
Looking at their schedule down the stretch as well, Chicago, Giants, Buffalo, Jacksonville, Minnesota, Jets, Carolina, Chicago, playing Green Bay in week 18 that might not mean anything for Green Bay. You're looking at a team that could potentially easily, again, this is going to be, I think there's going to be a dogfight like there was last year at the end of the season. An 8-9 team is going to make the playoffs in the NFC this year. It's going to happen. I believe it's going to happen 100%. I think the NFC is very weak. And I agree with you. I'm not betting this at all because I don't like 6, but yeah, I'm weirded out by these plain numbers. They're creepy to me. So I'm not betting this at all. But speaking of a number that is creepy because it's exactly 11, is the Green Bay Packers, which I am smashing the under on.
Yeah, I'm going to take the under too. This is not the 113 games the last 3 years Green Bay Packers.
Yeah, I mean, they don't have any wide receivers. I don't care what anybody says. Sorry. Devontae Adams is a game changer for that team.
I think 9 to 11 is probably their win range, but being 11 straight up feels too high.
Mm-hmm. I see, again, that's where I'm stuck, because even at 11, obviously if you bet the 11, they end up at 11. I'm not confident in that, but I just don't. I think if they win the division, they're a 9 and 10 win team. Probably my favorite bet of this entire thing, the Houston Texans, 4.5. I like the over. I think they win 6 or 7 games this year.
Taking the under.
Whoa, and the Texans?
Do you remember who their coach is?
I don't care.
You should.
Hold on, let me look at their schedule real quick. 4.5, though. It seems very attainable.
I mean, I'm not saying it's not attainable. I liked their draft. I like their players. I don't know if I believe Lovie Smith's man to coalesce everything together. I think David Culley got kind of hosed because he did a lot to build up Davis Mills last year. And
I think Lovie Smith is just there as a pawn until they kind of finish that full rebuild, to be honest with you.
Which is why, you could be 3 or 4 wins again. I don't think Houston, again, I'm not sure Houston's entirely trying to win.
I can agree with that. I just like the over a little bit on them. Indianapolis, 9.5. I'm not betting that.
I'm taking the over. I think
wouldn't surprise me.
With Ryan that they're going to be better. The Titans are the one I don't believe in.
Yeah, 9.5 is just scary to me for that team. I think they could end up 9-8, win that division. They could end up 10-7. It wouldn't surprise me. It's too scary close for me, in my opinion, to really kind of hit. Jacksonville being at 6.5 is such a weird number. I can't believe they're that high. I really like the under here, and I like Jacksonville. I like Jacksonville. I think the Jacksonville is a 5-6 win team. So their 6.5 is weird.
I just don't know what they're building.
I don't understand why their number is 2 wins fuller than Houston was. That really kind of surprised me. Let's see. We have Kansas City at 10.5, and then the Raiders at 8.5, and then Kansas City 10.5, Raiders at 8.5. What do you got?
Raiders, I'm taking the under. Kansas City, I'm having the slight under. My first pass, I had them at 10 wins. I think the tough part is that 10.5. I think their range is 10 or 11 wins, and is it 10 or is it 11? And so they put that number in a great spot. I'm just taking the slight under.
Yeah, this is one of those things that Vegas is, they know what they're doing, right? Kansas City, I'm not betting that at all. I just don't believe that this is an 11 win team. But it wouldn't surprise me if they win 11 games type of scenario, type of thing. But also wouldn't surprise me if they're a 10-win team. But I just don't want that middle ground of being on the wrong side of this. So I'm staying away from it. The only way that I would bet Kansas City is if they were at 9.5, because I feel like they're a 10 or 11 win team. I don't know. I'm still not confident they win the division, if I'm being honest with you guys.
I don't have them winning the division.
Raiders, I have under, but I don't love that number either. I'm not betting 8.5. Because again, that's another number. They could finish 9-8, win some, or not 9-8 now. These fucking new numbers really confuse me for no reason. They could finish 9-8, wouldn't surprise me. They could finish 8-9, it wouldn't surprise me. They could finish 6-11, it wouldn't surprise me. You know what I mean? Like, it's just one of those things that don't surprise me. We're gonna talk back-to-back LA teams. We got the Rams at 10.5, Chargers at 10. Again, that flat number scares me. But what do you got for both of those?
Taking the over on both. I think both of them win the West.
I like that because everybody knows that I have a soft spot for Justin Herbert. I love Justin Herbert. I loved Herbert coming out of college much more than most people did. I did think that he was easily the second best quarterback to come out of that draft. Immensely talented. I think about this right now. Could you imagine if Justin Herbert was down in Miami right now? Woof! It'd be a Super Bowl team. I love the Chargers, and I want nothing more than to see Justin Herbert go to the Super Bowl. Like, that's where I want to see a Buffalo Chargers AFC title game. I want it injected in my veins. I want that to happen. But at 10 wins, I am not betting it. I do agree with you that I do think the Chargers will win the West. I'm scared to say that. But 10 wins is, again, it's just a flat number. If that's 9.5, I probably bet it. If it's 10.5, I probably don't bet it. The Rams, I'm not betting it, but if the Rams go like 14-3, would anybody really be shocked? I don't think so.
That's probably a lot, but I think they win 12 pretty easily.
Yeah. Let's look at it real quick. Buffalo, Atlanta, Arizona, San Francisco, Dallas, Carolina. Oh, that's it. They've got a hard back half of their schedule. I love it. They got the Raiders, Packers, Broncos, Chargers, Seahawks. I mean, obviously Seahawks is whatever, but that's a hell of a 4 game. Yeah, I agree with you. I do think that's an over. You know what? I don't know if I would bet it, but also I'm not saying don't bet it, because I think it's actually a really good number. It's 10.5 feels low. I'm surprised they're not 11 or 11.5 like Buffalo is, honestly.
Yeah, or at least 11 like
Green Bay's high. Yeah, Green Bay being higher is weird to me. I don't understand.
People love Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah. Next 2 teams, we got the M&Ms. We got Miami at 8.5, and we got Minnesota at 9. And I am not betting either of these, even though, I'm not betting either of those.
Yeah, I want to like my Miami. I have the slight under there. I'm ashamed to admit, but I've done a schedule pass twice, and I've had the Vikings double-digit wins both times. I hate myself as somebody who's not a Kirk Cousins fan, but I'm taking
love Kirk Cousins. One of the most underrated quarterbacks in football, but also, one of the most underrated regular season quarterbacks, but also not very good at the same time. It's so weird. He's just one of those quarterbacks that's weird to me. I don't want either one of these. Miami 8.5. I think they could win 9-10 games. I just don't want part of it, because they're a team that I could also see being 8-win team. You know what I mean? Crazy enough, I do think they finished second place in that division. That might be controversial, but I don't know. New England 8.5, and the Saints at 7.5.
I'm going to take the.
Folks, have you heard about Poker Chill, a poker app with built-in video chat where you could host private poker games, no Zoom or computer, the video chat built right on your phone or tablet? A perfect way to hang out remote with your friends or family, as fun and real as live poker. But from your phone with just 3 taps. To set up the perfect for both beginner and advanced games, download now for the iPad and iPhone. Get started by downloading Poker Chill app. Your first 5 hours are completely free with promo code HAPPYHOUR.
Have you wanted to use your home equity to pay off debt or improve your house, but found the old way too painful? There's now a new, better option for accessing your home equity. It's called HomePace. Here's the key. It's not a loan, so there's no monthly payments or interest. Instead, HomePace gives you money up front as an investment in your home. That's right. You get money that you can use however you want without the burden of monthly payments. Then someday when you decide to sell, you share a portion of the gains or losses in your home's value with HomePace. That means if your home's value drops, HomePace takes a loss too. HomePace gives homeowners a better choice to access home equity. No monthly payments, no interest. To get an instant quote, go to homepace.com/quote. It takes less than 5 minutes. That's homepace/quote to get started.
Over actually on both. I'm coming around on the Saints. I like the weapons they built, and I think Jameis Winston is probably good enough for them to be a 9 or 10 win team. And I don't think the Patriots are. I don't think they got demonstrably better, but I think they got the kind of quarterback to go with Bill Belichick that ensures that they're going to be a Pittsburgh Mike Tomlin like team. They're not going to be under 500.
Man, I like the under on New England. I don't like it by a whole lot, which is obviously against everything I preached for the first half of this show, but this is one that I feel strong about. I feel like they're a 6 or 7 win team this year. I'm not smashing it overly, but I'd probably put a unit on the 8.5 on the under. And as far as the Saints go, I'm not betting it yet because I'd like to see more of what Winston looks like, because I think if Winston does play to his full potential, 7.5 wins is nice. But I think I'm going to, I had the over on this, but I think I'm going to go back to NA right now and not bet this for right now, just because I'm optimistic if we can get 17 out of Winston. If we get 17 out of Winston, I think that this could easily hit. But right now I'm not confident in, also not confident in the coach either, if I'm being honest. I do think they have weapons, but they need to use Kamara right, which is something that I don't think they've done in like 2 seasons, because Sean Payton's not a good coach.
He's not their coach anymore.
Exactly. So let's go pair of football teams up in New York. We got the Giants at 7, Jets at 5.5. One of these for me is really easy. The other one, I don't know how to feel about it.
Yeah, Jets is close, but it wouldn't surprise me if they got to 6, but I think 5 is probably safer. 7 is possible. Jets, if I was using your system being NA, whoever gave 7 to the Giants, I would like what they're smoking. No chance for me.
Okay. So this is one of my favorite bets of the entire thing is the Giants. Sorry, it's the Giants. The Giants are not winning 7 games. I don't care. I don't care how. First off, they're by far the worst team in this division, and that's even talking about the Washington Commanders. I understand everybody hates me because I stand by Carson Wentz, even though I've said before that I don't think he's the greatest thing since sliced bread or anything like that. But we're looking at the Giants here. I'm sorry, I just don't feel like this is a team. I'm looking at their schedule. Where do you see 7 wins at? I don't see it. They split with Washington probably. They probably lose both to Dallas. I think Philadelphia beats them twice, unless Philadelphia doesn't need that Week 18 game, which I think they will. Okay, so we got 1 win in the division so far. I think I hope they win Week 1, but they probably won't win Week 1 in Tennessee. Carolina, I don't know if they're better than Carolina. I don't know if they are. Chicago, that they'll probably win that game. I don't know. They're probably both terrible. But at Green Bay, they're not winning that. They're not beating Baltimore. Sorry. They have Jacksonville and Seattle. Seattle's on the road. So that's cross country. I don't believe they can win that football game. I don't care if it is against Seattle. I don't care if Drew Lock's quarterback. I don't care if Matthew Fox is quarterback. They do have somewhat of a soft schedule, but down the stretch, it's division. They're one of the weirdest teams I see with division-wise, by the way. They got division games in, 5 out of the last 7 games? That's pretty wild to look at. Dallas, Washington, Philly, Washington, Minnesota, Indianapolis, Philadelphia. The Giants aren't winning 7 games. I don't understand. I agree with you. Whoever put their line at 7 must be a Giants fan. like for real. And if he's a real Giants fan, he should know better. Like, if we're being honest right now, like, there's no way in hell that this team wins 7 games. If this team wins 7 games, I'll buy a Daniel Jones jersey. Like, I will buy a Daniel Jones jersey if they win 7 games this year. Like, it's not going to happen. I'm so confident that I'm not going to have to buy a jersey. So, like, I don't understand. So, Jets, man, I really want to like this football team. I just do not like Zach Wilson. I don't. I can't get behind Zach Wilson. I can't do it. He's like vanilla ice cream. You know what I mean? It's okay. You know what I'm
All
saying?
right, I'm all in. Jets over 5.5. Gone too far.
But 5.5, it's too scary for me because this team could win 4 games and they could suck and Zach Wilson could be Zach Wilson. It wouldn't surprise me, but they could overachieve. I like their head coach. A lot. I like that. And I like that defense they're building. You know what I mean?
And I like their set of offensive weapons. That's the part that's a struggle for me. I like everything about what the Jets are doing. I just am not wild about the Jets. And honestly, the AFC
Hard.
is too hard.
Very hard. So I'm like I said, I don't love it. I don't love it. So I'm staying away from the Jets, but I'm smashing the under on the Giants. All right. 2 Pennsylvania teams. Philadelphia, 9. Don't like solid numbers, damn it. What part of y'all don't understand that? And then Pittsburgh, 7.5. I'll start here. Philadelphia is probably a 9-win team. Like right on the cusp, maybe 10, if they get their life together. Their rise and fall is going to all depend on Jalen Hurts, obviously. But if Jalen Hurts plays good, Jalen Hurts doesn't even have to play exceptional for this team to win, I think, 9 games. He can play incredibly uneven, and I think this team could win 8 or 9 games. But I could also see Jalen Hurts being Jalen Hurts and this team being a 5-6 win team. So for that reason, I want no part of this bet.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I'm going to take the slight over for Philly, but I'm definitely taking the over for Pittsburgh. Mike Tomlin has not had a losing season there. I don't think he's going to start now.
Yeah, because the thing about it is I'm betting the over here. I don't love it because I know that I've gone back and forth with everybody.
I'm not going way over.
No.
I think they're like a 9-win team, but I think they're a 9-win team.
Yeah, and so the thing about it is for me with Pittsburgh, I think Kenny Pickett's going to be a little bit better than people give him credit for. If he starts Trubisky, they're going to play to their strengths, right? You know what I mean? They're going to run the ball. They're going to give Najee Harris the football. I like their weapons. They do good. Patty Freiermuth, French fry up there is really fucking good. He's going to be good in the red zone. He's going to help out that team. But in my opinion, yeah, I think they are an 8 or 9-win team. I think that it wouldn't surprise me if Pittsburgh sneaks into a playoff spot. I think that they could be in the conversation at 9 wins. If they're at 9 wins, they can be in the conversation at least that the last week of the season that could be playing for a playoff spot. So it wouldn't surprise me. As far as Philly, I already did Philly. So yeah. Let's talk about my next smack dab lock of the year. And that is the San Francisco 49ers at 10 wins. Why is this team at 10 wins? Give me the under. San Francisco wins 6 games this year, maybe 7.
Yeah, I think they might be an 8-win team, but I think they're going to regress back. I think it feels like they're pushing towards forcing Trey Lance in there. And if that happens, I might be with you 5-6. I'm not a believer.
I like Trey Lance. I think that he could be good there, and I think that it's potential there. But I also need to see him in that offense before I firmly believe that he can be good long-term for this team as well. So Seattle, 6 wins.
It's probably a push, but I think they're a 5 to 7 win team.
Yeah, I think they're going to be a little bit more competitive than people give them credit for. I just don't know if I want. I think you're right. I think they're a 5 or 6 win team, in my opinion. I know you said 6 or 7, but I think they're a 5 or 6 win team there. Tampa Bay 11 and a half. I have the under.
Oh, I'm going over. I mean, I think they're 6-0 in their division. I think they're 12 or 13 wins with Tom Brady. They have that core intact. They do not have a tough schedule, in my opinion. They'll lose a few of these games, but I think they'll sweep against their division. They're also playing I can't remember which AFC division. I think they're playing the AFC North. I actually think they'll beat quite a few of those AFC North teams. So 11.5 is high. I get if you didn't want to do it, but my first pass I had him at 13.
I think that we live in a possibility where the Bucs start the season 1-3. They open up at Dallas, at New Orleans, Green Bay, Kansas City. And then they have a stretch where they have Baltimore, Rams, Seattle right before the bye. And then post-bye, they have Cleveland, New Orleans, San Francisco, Cincinnati, Arizona, then Carolina, Atlanta, end the season. They got a cupcake the last 2 weeks of the season. So if they need to win 2 games to get a 1 seed, go ahead and check mark those off. I don't know. I love Tom Brady. I'm extremely emotionally distraught by the fact that he decided to come back, because it still hurts my soul that I have to emotionally invest my time into this NFL season the way that I don't want to emotionally invest my time into this NFL season, because I thought the time was over. But I don't know. I think they're 11-win team, which again scares me. Tennessee Titans and Washington Commanders, almost said football team, whatever. 9.5 for the Titans, and then 7.5 for the Washington Commanders.
I'm taking the under on both, but I think both are reasonably close. So Tennessee feels like a team that ends up sliding to like 8 and 9 just out of the playoffs. Commanders, if they won 8 or 9, it wouldn't shock me, but I feel like they're a 7-win team.
Yeah, I'm under on Tennessee, and that's just my biasness. But I think that the Titans don't win 8 games this year. I think that they're going to regress pretty much. I'm not saying Burks is not going to be the guy. He might be a good guy, but he's not AJ Brown out the gate. I'm the only thing that I'm slightly worried about, and I don't think we're about 30 minutes in this podcast, and nobody will probably hear this part, but there is a slight part of me that thinks Tannehill might try to have one of those doubter years, you know what I'm saying, where he tries to prove everybody wrong type of thing. And that kind of makes me nervous in some aspects, because I don't think he's that good, but at the same time, it is what it is. I think they win 8 or 9 games. Washington is a team that I think could be Philadelphia if Philadelphia falters, right? I feel like they're going to go hand in hand there, in my opinion. I like their core. I think their defense took a massive step back last year. And I think that if they take the right foot forward, Washington has the tools to have a top 10 defense. And if that's the case, and you have a backfield they have strong backfield, which is very important for Carson Wentz. You have to have a strong backfield. They do. They have Gibson. They have McKissick there. I like both those talents. They have weapons. I didn't love Dotson, but I think Dotson could be complementary to McLaren, who I think McLaren is extremely underrated, in my opinion. I don't know if he's underrated. I just don't think people give him the credit where he belongs. But 7.5 is still, I don't like this bet. I don't like it at all. I'm gonna stay clear away from it. But that's the 32, folks. That's the 32 that we're going to talk about today. And like I said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold myself accountable to what I think today, and then we're going to take a look at these. We're going to have a little summer concert series, I'm going to call it. I don't know why I said concert, but I've already starting it. So that means when Clarkson comes on the show with us, he's going to have to sing to us, at least on each episode. So my buddy and I throughout this baseball season, we're doing, 1 bet a day. And sometimes we've been providing 2 and 3 bets. We're actually, we're doing pretty good this year, Fox. I mean, we did pretty good last year. I mean, we did, you know what I mean? We did. And I think a lot of people, it is what it is. You know what I mean? Haters are going to hate overall, but we're 33 and 23 on the season right now, which is pretty impressive, especially whenever you look at the world of betting. He's going to join us this coming season to talk some over and unders as we inch closer to the football season. He'll join Fox and I as we do some of these. So it's going to be interesting to see when we do these divisional focus over and unders, when we kind of take a more in-depth look at the schedule, when we kind of take a more in-depth of everything and see where these 9 numbers fluctuate. Because if that Giants number is still 7 closer to football season, I might just bet my entire house on it.
Watch Daniel Jones get to 8 wins just to spite you.
Oh, he would. Last week of the season, they'll blow out they'll just, who they played last week? They hang on the same time. They'll blow out Philadelphia. You know what I mean?
The happy hour coming from a tent out back of Denny's.
Oh man, that's fucking funny. I don't care what anybody says. All right. So with that being said, folks, if this is your time to stop listening, we appreciate your time. We also know that this is one of our favorite segments to also do each and every week here, and that's the movie corner, where we talk about what's new in theaters, what's new on streaming, and we've got some good choices this weekend. I want to highlight by starting off by doing a perfect little segue. If you want to check out the new the Prime Video series Night Sky, starring J.K. Simmons and Sissy Spacek, Adam Bartley, Kia McKieran, and Chai Hansen. It's a really good series. I enjoyed it, but also check out my interviews with that entire cast over on the YouTube page. Incredible to be able to talk to all those people. But I highly recommend checking that out. Also in theaters today, we have Downtown Abbey, A New Era. We have Men in theaters. We have Chippendale Rescue Rangers on Disney Plus, The Valet on Hulu, Jackass 4.0 on Netflix, and A Perfect Pairing on Netflix as well. I know a lot of people are gearing up for some big releases next week, but Fox, what do you got?
Yeah, it's a fun slate. I'm looking forward to seeing stuff. We are about to get hit with a massive snowstorm for no apparent reason, so I'm hoping to see Downton Abbey. I have been at work a lot this week, so I haven't seen pretty much anything.
I'm excited to see what you think of The Valet, which I saw that a couple weeks ago, and I really enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty good. I thought it was pretty fun. It's not great by any sense of the words, but I think Eugenia Derbez, who I love a lot, and Samira Weaving, who's actually pretty good as well. I did like both of them in the film, and Max Greenfield's another highlight for me in that movie. I quite enjoyed it a lot. So I definitely would recommend checking out The Valet, Chippendale Rescue Rangers on Disney Plus. Fun movie. Fun movie.
Yeah, I did start that. I'm enjoying the beginning. I would say you guys probably know that I do TV pilots and things. One of the ones that I have really enjoyed, I just watched its third episode, it's dropping weekly, is Star Trek Strange New Worlds. It takes the action back to the pre-Kirk days of the Enterprise. So Spock, a young Spock, is there with Captain Pike. It goes back to kind of that original formula. They have that classic space, the final frontier, these are the voyages of the Starship Enterprise opening, which got me in the feels. But this week's episode was, the Star Trek's at its best when it's making commentary about how we could live in a better world. And I will say this third episode did that beautifully.
Another perfect segue. I spoke to one of the stars of that show, Christina Chong, and she has an incredible story herself. And I am not a Star Trek person. I enjoyed the movies. I did enjoy the movies. I'm excited I think there's supposed to be a new movie. I don't know. Maybe I'm speaking out of turn.
They are.
Okay, perfect. So I don't want to sound stupid anymore. I'll tell you one that I'm enjoying. I'm 8 episodes deep into The Lincoln Lawyer. I
love the pilots.
I did not expect to really
like so good.
The show. It didn't. I expected it to be shitty. I expected it to be terrible.
Remember when I was halfway through the pilot and I'm like, I don't know how to tell you this. I'm digging The Lincoln Lawyer.
Dude, I've watched I think my wife and I are up to 8 episodes.
Classic David E. Kelly. They're really steering into so Michael Connolly, who wrote those books, is the one that wrote the books that Bosch is based on. I've long loved Bosch and its style. They managed to do that with The Lincoln Lawyer. If you're thinking it's kind of like that Matthew McConaughey movie, it is not.
No, it's completely different from that. And I like The Lincoln Lawyer movie. I did.
Yeah, it was fine.
Yeah, but let me see here. Manuel Garcia Rolfo? Is that Rolfo?
He's doing a killer job.
Incredible. Like, this guy's blown me away. He's doing it. And the thing about it is, what I think I love about this series the most is, like, I love series that kind of break down, like they're breaking it kind of reminded me a little bit of like oh my god, The Big Short in a way, where like they kind of dumb down some of the lawyer mumbo jumbo within the series that really kind of like lets you get in the ins and outs. So in the series they have a thing where they pick the jury and their strategic ideas of how they did that, or why they did this, or why they do that. Like it's kind of not just a cool series that you're watching, but it's also like an inside look of of the mind of a lawyer at the same time. I've really, really enjoyed this. And like I said, I'm 8 episodes deep. My wife is actually out of town for the weekend, which is kind of disappointing because I can't finish the last 2 episodes without her. So like I'm on my edge of the seat, ready to really kind of hone in and get that on. But I really would recommend it. Like it's incredible. I've really enjoyed it. I've had a blast with it. So I'm excited for that. Let's see what else I've watched. I really liked Candy. I thought that was good.
Yeah, I finished that. That was pretty good.
I thought it was Jessica Biel's incredible. She's incredible in that. I really.
And there's fun pop up in the 4th of 5
I would.
episodes.
He can't act. I'm sorry.
Oh man, I love that. It's hard to disagree there.
I don't think he was good in man, what was that? Palmer. I liked Palmer.
You know, it's funny. I defend him as an actor. But that's one thing I didn't like.
That's funny. He's great in The Social Network.
There you go. There you go.
I
It only took
Social
10
Network.
hours to find some common ground. I also like him in Trolls,
Well,
but that's kind of like voice and stuff.
I love. I mean, obviously, I love The Social Network, but that's just what an incredible film. Let's see here. I think that's really it. Next week's obviously the big week. We have the return of Stranger Things. Obi-Wan Kenobi comes out. Look, okay, so I'm going to be honest before we go here. I'm very much neutral on Star Wars. There was a part of my life that I would be back in the day when movies came out at midnight. You know what I mean? I know some of the people listening might not know those things actually happened, but back in the day when movies would drop at midnight on Thursday instead of 8 or 6 or 4 in some instances, I would stand in line like a madman and watch and get ready to watch the Star Wars movies. I don't remember which one it is. I like technical episode 1, 2, and 3. I didn't think they were terrible. I thought they were fun. The third one is fucking incredible in my opinion. I really enjoyed it. But I kind of got Star Wars out. I never watched The Mandalorian or whatever that's called. I never really watched that. I never really watched the Boba Fett or whatever that was either. But I was doing a write-up for Obi-Wan Kenobi, and I don't watch trailers, but I watched the trailer for Obi-Wan Kenobi, and I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I'm sucked in. I'm like super sucked in. So I'm excited for that. I'm excited to see what it is. I'll be watching with bells and whistles on. So I'm excited about that. Stranger Things returns. I'm excited for that. I'm excited to see kind of what's in store for that. And also Top Gun week is next week, which is going to be interesting. I see it Monday, and I'll give you guys my full thoughts on Monday about that. But Fox, are you excited for Stranger Things?
I am. I'm not pumped that they're saying a couple of the episodes are more than 2 hours long. I mean,
I heard that's
guys.
the second half of the season, I think.
Yeah, it's episode 7 and 9 apparently, but
that's just stupid. Y'all need an editor, bro.
Or make your thing 11 episodes.
Yeah, or that. You know, it's you know what? I've seen a thing. I saw a thing. I don't mind that they're doing it. And I'm going to be honest with you. I don't mind they're doing it. What do you think about this 2-part thing? I don't mind it.
I don't mind it. It's fine. It builds hype and stuff. It's like the Netflix equivalent of trying to figure out how to do weekly. A lot of these streaming platforms drop like 3 or 4 episodes and then go back to dropping them weekly. I think Netflix has always been the everything all at once, so they probably don't want to lean into that weekly model. But dropping half and half, at least keeps it in the zeitgeist a little longer.
I don't mind it at all. I saw somebody complaining about it, but it's Twitter. They like to complain about everything. On that note, make sure to check out the Music City Drive-In. I've got some interviews pumping out. Fox just dropped an interview of himself. Make sure to check that out on the Music City Drive-In as well. We appreciate the continued support of the series. We got some fun stuff coming to you in the near future. So thank you so much for listening, tuning in, and we'll talk to you guys probably next week.